Yeah?
Do the intro?
Yeah, don't mind if I do. Welcome, everybody. It's been a hot minute since we've done this. So we're super happy to be here for another interview. I lost track on which number.
This is episode 58. Yeah.
There you go.
Cool 58.
Yeah.
And a very special one.
Yeah. We're super happy and honored that we have a legend of the music with us today. He drove all the way up from San Diego
and lived to tell about it.
Yes. I wrote some people down who this gentleman has played with. Started out in Buddy Rich's orchestra, played with Sarah Vaughan, and then went ahead with working with John Clemmer, Art Pepper, Benny Golson, Joel Farrell, Linda Ronstadt with Nelson Riddle's orchestra, I do have to add. Bud Shank, Lorindo Almeida, Shorty Rogers, Bob Cooper, Lou Donaldson, Clifford Jordan, George Cables, Victor Lewis. Your Wikipedia page is pretty up to date.
Yeah.
So Josh Nelson and myself, Kevin Van Nelson, are welcoming Bob Magnusson to the show today.
A pleasure to be here.
Bob.
My
Thanks.
honor.
Our pleasure.
We've been already chatting it up.
Yeah.
Here.
Said save it for the podcast.
Some good stories.
So many. Wow. Now we've only played I think once or twice over the years. It hasn't been that many times.
Yeah.
Mostly with Peter Sprague.
Yes.
The great guitarist down in San Diego who we all love and adore. But he I remember raved about you. He said, "Oh man, you haven't met Mags yet. You're gonna love him, man." You know. So Peter Sprague was a connector with us, but then just talking, idly here waiting to start, I got to play a little bit at the end of the wonderful drummer John Guerin's life.
Yes.
And I know you played a lot with him. Wherever you want to take this, you want to go back to your roots, or how would you like to kind of get into things?
Yeah, maybe because you're originally from New York, right?
I was born in New York.
Right.
My dad had won a they called them fellowships in those years, to go to Juilliard and study clarinet.
Oh, I didn't know your dad was a musician.
So, he was a classical clarinetist, and my mother was a classical pianist. That's how I ended up being born in New York after the war. He started before, and then afterwards he went back to school there, and I was born in 1947 in the Bronx.
And
that's where my grandparents are from.
Oh yeah.
Many years before
But I'm almost a native San Diegan.
Yeah.
We came out here when I was 2 or 3. My parents had grown up here, and in San Diego, and so that took me back. And then they started music with me. My mother being a piano teacher when I was in 2nd grade. I think I took a year of piano, so I learned to read music, I guess.
But it also says that you studied French horn for a long time.
And then I picked up the French horn. My parents let me choose the summer between 2nd and 3rd grade, and I chose the French horn.
That's a rather unique choice.
Well, I'll tell you the story. There was a wonderful man named DeForest Gay, and he was the head of the school music department and a very good friend of our family's. And he was over to the house, and my parents were letting me choose an instrument. What instrument?
Yeah.
And Mr. Gay was there with us. And first, I think I wanted the drums, And then Mr. Gay said, "Oh, you can't even play Yankee Doodle, Bobby." So I'm this little kid. Okay. And then I chose the trumpet, and he said, "Oh, everybody plays the trumpet." And then I said, "Oh, I want to play what Mr. Christensen plays." He was the principal horn in the San Diego Symphony. He says, "The French horn," he says, "a noble choice." So that's how I ended up playing the French horn. And I studied it for 12 years. I wanted it, probably in junior high, I knew I wanted to be a French horn player in an orchestra. And then there's a whole story of how I got to the bass.
Yeah.
So,
when did you start playing bass?
When I was in high school, my brother, I'm the youngest of 3, he's 4 years older, had taken clarinet and was playing sax with a rock band in Ocean Beach, Point Loma area. And they needed an electric bass player. And I had gotten through my high school buddies. I started to like the Kingston Trio and bands like that. So I liked the guitar. So my dad, when he saw I was interested in guitar, got me a classical guitar, and he had a friend named Art D'Amato in Pacific Beach, and he was paying for French horn lessons and classical guitar lessons at the same time. So I did about 8 months of simple Bach. I never got up the neck very far. But so that was what led me, and then my brother says, well, it's the same as the bottom 4 strings of your guitar. We need a electric bass. And I got like one of those Dan Electro or Silvertone, one of those Sears was my first
Sears bass.
electric bass. And then I was making money on the weekend and still studying horn. And actually I was commuting up to Fullerton and studying with Ralph Pyle from the LA Philharmonic, you know.
Wow, serious.
And then I got into a really good R&B band in San Diego, and which was over my head, you know, because it was all these syncopated rhythms. I now had a Fender bass, and they were turning me on to jazz records. And somebody gave me the Kind of Blue record. It was 1966. I was 19, and I loved it had the impressionistic sort of sound, the way Bill Evans' voice chords, which I love, was my favorite classical period, and then the swing, you know, with Paul Chambers and Jimmy Cobb, you know. And so that's when I just was hooked, and I fell in love with the string bass. And I got one, and that was the end of the French horn.
The French horn in the case.
So I was 19, and I started playing the bass. And then I played about a year, and that's when I met Jim Plank, of course. And I knew Jim from the symphony. He was like a child prodigy and played when my dad was playing, when he was Jim was a teenager, you know. And so I knew him a little, but he was already a really good jazz player. And Bill Mays was living there in the Navy at the time. And so he and Jim would play, and there was a very good bass player named Hank Dobbs, who passed away. Really good, younger than me. We were friends. And so I would go to the Union and where they would jam, and a piano player named Dudley Kendall hired me for and I was working in a cabinet shop and coming home playing the bass 3 or 4 hours every night. Every weekend I played the bass all day long, you know. It was just like a consumed thing, you know. And then so I got hired for a job after I'd been playing a year. And
just a year.
And then from that job, did you ever know Tony or Joe Murillo?
Joe Murillo,
the saxophone player, not the drummer, Joe Murillo.
Okay.
This
Thanks
is
for clarifying.
M-A-R Murillo.
Okay.
Tony was a drummer, and Joe was a wonderful sax. They would come down from Las Vegas to swim in the ocean here, and come in the club, and they convinced me to move to L.A. I mean, not to L.A., to Las Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
Yeah. And so after I was there a couple of months, I got a job with a show band at the old Thunderbird Hotel. It was a small big band, and the 2 trumpet players were Boby Shew and Chuck Finlay.
There you go.
And they were the ones that recommended me. I'd been playing 2 years, recommended me to the Buddy Rich band. And the only thing and I was too naive to know about Buddy Rich, you know, as a kid. So I was 21 now. I've been playing 2 years, and I could read. The reading saved me. I could read everything in his book.
Probably from your French horn background.
Yes, you know, and then the bass was actually physically more comfortable for me than horn had ever been. So, So I kind of survived, and he didn't say anything to me for about 3 nights, but then he started in on me, you know. Expletives, and the more he yelled, the worse I played.
Were you playing upright or electric?
I was playing both.
Oh.
I was the last guy. Rick Laird came after me, and he went all electric after that.
Right.
But I was playing both on the band.
Uh-huh.
And I did that one. My first record was Buddy and Soul.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is, and I play both on the record. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's it's not a bad gig to.
Oh my gosh. Who was on piano?
The first one was Joe Azzarello. I don't know if you ever knew Tom and Joe. They lived here, and then Joe left the band, and a pianist named David Lahm, Lahm, joined. And wonderful pianist. He had gone to Bloomington in Indiana with Randy Brecker, and they did that European tour, or Russian tour or something.
Wow, I'll have to look him up.
His mother turned out to be Dorothy Fields.
Oh, okay.
Who that's a funny story, but
wow.
I didn't even know. He never said anything to me about it
Oh my gosh.
for a while. I didn't find, and we were rooming together, and I keep in touch with him to this day.
Really?
He's living in Florida.
Oh,
David
nice.
Lahm.
And so, for how long did you stay with Buddy until?
A little over a year.
Okay.
A little over a year.
Okay.
But just a quick story. After we went on a European tour, I'd been. So it was about 2 months. I'd been on the band now, and I thought Buddy hated me, And we closed in Copenhagen at the Tivoli Gardens.
Oh, yeah.
And after the gig, I went in and said to Buddy, Buddy, I'm sorry, I'm not cutting it, I'm not making it, because he was yelling at me all the time, And he got up and patted me on the shoulder, and I was 6 foot, and Buddy was a shorter man. And he put his arm on me. He said, "That's okay, kid. Anytime you want to play with my band, you let me know." And I went out of there like, what just... So, anyways,
Confusing.
and then we came back to the States, and several guys left the band, and new people came on. He started yelling at the new people, leaving me alone, and I began to relax a little. And 2 weeks went by. So I ended up staying a little over a year. It was a wonderful experience. I learned so much from him about the importance of playing time. That's what he would,
Amazing.
So it was a great, and I have a real love for him.
Yeah.
You hear all those stories and they're all true, but I have a real soft spot for him.
Yeah. But it's something that I hear constantly with musicians who've played in that band that they say, like, he was a hard ass to work with, but everybody seems to love him just for like the sheer ferocity and like the musicality and the control on the drums that guy has. There was nobody like that.
And when I would deal with him one-on-one, he was a sweetheart. He really was.
It's funny.
So,
I mean, I guess that's what you get when you're raised in vaudeville.
Yeah,
right.
He was a
that
tap
was his
dancer.
background.
Yeah. He started.
And he hired Baby Lawrence, the famous tap dancer, worked a couple weeks with us. And he and Buddy would do fours.
Wow.
It was amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then soon after Buddy, you went with Sarah Vaughan.
No, I went back to Vegas.
Uh-huh.
I played the Vive la Girls show at the Dunes Hotel.
The old Dunes.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then, I think we did an 8 and a 10. And then I got a jazz gig that started at 1 in the morning and went till 5 with a trio at a little small place right on the Strip. There was a whole lot of jazz going on in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And this was 1968, 69.
I mean, this is the height of the Rat Pack there too.
Yeah. And in fact, Montgomery played with the famous old Red
Norvo?
Yeah, Red Norvo had a trio gig. I forget who the guitar player was, but I'd go over there and listen to those guys.
Was that maybe Tal Farlow?
No, it was a different guy.
Okay.
He lives in Florida. I met him. I played in Pensacola with Lorinda Almeida, and the guy was. I met the guy again. Wonderful player. I forget his name, but so that was going on, and Joe Romano was there, and Sam Noto, and Don Menza, and all
Vegas
these.
was a very different.
Yeah,
back
it was,
then.
and live music everywhere.
Live music,
It wasn't corporate yet.
Right.
And then I heard all the bands, you know, and all the singers. Sarah, like I told you, I heard Sarah with Chick Corea,
Yeah.
Steve Schaefer, and
Yeah.
Herb Nickman. Yeah.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
So I got, you know, I was hearing all this great music and
So jealous.
playing all the time.
Wish we could time travel.
Yeah, I was lucky to get in on the big band,
Right.
you know, era. I was just at the end of the big band era, so it was quite an experience. And Art Pepper was there, and
Oh.
Al Pacino was playing lead trumpet, and Joe Romano, and then Richie Cole came on, and Pat LaBarbera,
Yeah.
and Menza was the straw boss. And
Oh, yeah.
I was the worst guy in the band,
Oh,
but
sure.
it was.
I don't believe that.
But somehow, same with Sarah, but they had somehow Buddy and her would see that there was potential for me, and they would put up with me, and I would grow in those
Right,
situations, you know.
We've all had those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Let's check in with some folks who are watching. Thanks for watching, everybody. Lori Bell.
Oh,
comment,
Lori,
our
yeah.
favorite
I
flutist
love
and
Lori.
lovely person and human. She says, my favorite bassist, the great Bob Magnusson. He has the biggest ears in the business, catches every breath. Just a stunning musician. I made my first quartet CD with Bob. Grateful I had the privilege of working with him. Miss you and love you.
Love Lori.
Then we have Loiseau Frédéric. Hi from Paris, from Frédéric Loiseau. Thanks to have the so great Bob Magnusson here. Great souvenir from Musicians Institute in LA.
Oh, yes.
In 1988 with Peter Sprague, Joe Diorio, Carl Schroeder.
Yeah.
Such an amazing player, so lyric, melodic, beautiful human being, great teacher.
Oh,
The
thank you.
records with Sarah Vaughan are fantastic. The record Bonita with Joe Diorio is a great one too.
Oh, yeah.
I love one with Art Pepper live too. Such a master, best.
Guess a former student.
Former
at,
student
Wow.
hires. Wow, from MI.
Thank you.
Frederick Loiseau. Thanks. Merci beaucoup,
Thank you, Frederick. Yeah.
Oh, Roy McCurdy says
McCurdy's
hi.
here.
Oh, McCurdy.
Bob, the best.
I just saw him in San Diego.
right.
He played in San Diego.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, love you, Roy.
Yeah. Oh, he's playing with Charles McPherson?
No, he came down. He had his own group with Cunliffe
Oh, yeah.
and
Mike
Ricky
Garola.
Woodard and Mike
The young-
Garola.
He was great. Young
Yeah.
bass player.
It was wonderful.
What a band.
And I met Mike, wonderful player.
Pat Kelly's here.
Oh,
Hello,
Pat.
Bob. Too long. Pat, I get to see because
Yeah.
he lives up in Paso Robles.
Yeah, we saw
And
him.
we play up there, and
Ah.
Pat will come to the gigs a lot. Yo, Pat.
We played in San Diego together.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat.
And were you on the Natalie Cole gig with Pat ever?
No.
At different times.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
It
I
was-
missed him too.
It was John Chiodini
Chiodini.
when I subbed for Jim Hewitt for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So that we got some friends and family in the
Oh,
house.
how nice.
Should we listen to some music?
Yeah, I would say so.
Get into a little?
Yeah, and let's start with that Sarah Vaughan track.
Yeah. Let me
Great.
See how good my left hand is here. I'm a control freak, Kevin.
Yes. You do you, bro. I don't mind. I'm not the greatest with computers either, so
Right.
you know.
So we're sharing the sound. Okay. So we're going to listen to something live from, was it 1975 with Sarah Vaughan?
Yeah.
Is that right?
75 or 6.
75 live
Right.
at the Laren Jazz Festival in
It's called
Holland.
the Lost Recordings or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
Lost Recordings. And the track that we're going to listen to first is There Will Never Be Another You, number 12.
No, play the other one, would you?
Everything
Oh,
must change.
everything must change
Yes.
first? Okay,
Yep.
let's do that.
Okay. So this is you on bass and
Carl Schroeder
Carl
was the
Schroeder on the
pianist,
piano,
and
okay.
Jimmy Cobb, who I worked with the whole. I did it in 2 segments, but I worked a little over 3 years with Sarah, and he was there the whole time. So it was like,
incredible.
I mean, I had Buddy Rich, and then I got to sit next to Jimmy Cobb.
Yeah. But
Wow.
the first record that you listened to was kind of blue, so that must have been like
That
Oh,
was a
amazing.
huge
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
Oh, when I first got called, and I was scared to death
Sure.
to go and rehearse.
Oh, I would be.
Yeah, and Jimmy was a sweetheart to me.
So here we're going to listen to Sarah Vaughan singing Everything Must Change, and our special guest, the very wonderful Bob Magnusson on bass.
That's
Man I Love.
yeah.
Pardon me, folks. Here we go.
Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everything must change. No one stays the same. The young becomes the old, and mysteries do unfold. Never much too soon. Yes, everything must change. There are not many things in life you can be sure, you can be sure, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. I forgot the words right there. I got 'em. Winter turns to spring. A wounded heart, a wounded heart, a wounded heart would heal. But never much too soon. Yes, everything must change. The young becomes the old, and mysteries will unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time. Yes, everything must change. There are not many things in life you can be sure, you can be sure, except Shoo-be-oh, shoo-be-oh. except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly, they fly, they fly. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Sun lights up the sky, and music makes me cry.
Wow, what a master.
Yeah.
And people ask me about her, I'm working with her. And I always say she was amazing every night. And then there were nights where she was angelic. And this was one of those nights. It was a really hot there's funny stuff on the recording, where she gets a fan, a lady gives her a fan, and she takes Carl's music and gives it, fun. But it was so hot, and she hated to be hot. But she just sang out of her. This was an angelic night for her.
Yeah.
And we got to play a little bit of Spang-a-Lang.
The other one we got to hear.
Because Jimmy Cobb.
Yeah.
You got.
This is that same era from the record you just brought up, which is one of my favorite Sarah records of this era, is the Beatles one.
Oh, yeah.
Where she sings all the Beatles tunes,
Yes.
which is so funky. And Marty Page arrangement. I mean, it's like everyone is on that record.
Yes.
You know what I mean, it's just you think you hear everything she can do, and then she does something else, and she's. Peggy Lee had that a little bit to me too in her '70s albums. You could tell she was crossing. The labels were okay. How about sing some contemporary songs?
Yeah.
But she would always own it, and Sarah would just own it.
But you recorded on at least a few tracks. You recorded on that album of Sarah Vaughan with Michel Legrand too, right?
Yes, I'm on a couple of tracks with that.
Yeah, that's a large ensemble.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's a gorgeous record. Oh, I didn't know you were on that.
Yeah.
Wow. If you're just joining us, thank you, our special guest who drove all the way up from San Diego to LA, which is treacherous.
Yeah.
The great Bob Magnusson is with us here, and my partner in crime, Kevin Van Den Elzen. And we're just sharing some stories with Bob. Right now we're talking about his time with Sarah Vaughan. And we're going to play another cut from that record, live in 1975. And it's Never Be Another You, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me find where's on my window?
Just to hear Jimmy Cobb go Spang-a-Lang.
Oh, yeah. The great Jimmy Cobb on drums. Okay.
Should I turn down the mic?
Yeah. You do it.
There may be many other nights like this, and I'll be standing here with someone new. There may be other songs to sing, another fall, another spring. There will never be another you. There may be other lips that I may kiss, but they won't thrill me like yours used to do. Yeah, I may dream a million dreams, but how can they come true? Never, ever, ever be another you. to sing, another fall, another spring. There will never be another you. There may be other lips that I may kiss, but they won't thrill me like yours used to do. Yeah, I may dream a million dreams, but how can they come true? Never, ever, ever be another. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. I'm not going nowhere.
Wow, that was tipping. What a great arrangement.
Oh, yeah.
So slick.
Yeah.
Carl, you think did that?
I think that's an older one. I'm not
one.
sure who
Wow.
did that one. I think Carl did the Bernard Eigner tune.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you and Jimmy Cobb together sound really great.
Oh, man, it was it was like college for me, you know.
Wow.
Did you get to talk with Jimmy in those days about his experiences for like the records that he made with Miles and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we talked about some of those stories. Jimmy was kind of a quiet, wonderful man.
I met him one time.
Oh, just a sweetheart. And when I first joined Sarah, this is a story about what I learned with Jimmy, but she played the slowest ballads I'd ever played. The slowest tempos I'd played those with orchestras, you know, with a conductor, but not in a trio setting. And so I was kind of like when I first started, and of course I was really nervous in the beginning, and I was trying to, well, what do I do? You know, and these big long holes, and I was trying to put flowers in there, and you know, but nothing felt good. I just kept trying these, and I couldn't. And so one night after the gig, you know, we've been doing this a few. Jimmy and I are having a beer at the bar, and I said, Jimmy, I'm really struggling with the ballads, like around midnight, and some of these tempos. And he says, well, you've got a nice long sustained sound on your fiddle. He says, try playing half notes or even a whole note and let it die out. And so it was kind of like the opposite of what I was trying, you know. And so I started trying it. Jimmy Cobb said, try this. And it was like honey coming out of the jar. And it was like the whole key to how to play in that kind of thing behind sass.
Yes.
And sometimes I'd play like a dotted half note and then maybe go beat 4, 1, you know. But it was one of the great lessons. I've told all my students, you know, that Jimmy Cobb told me to do that, and it was the key.
That's amazing. Cool story.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's check in with some other folks. Jamie Finley's here, the
Oh
guitarist.
yeah, we were at Musicians Institute.
Yeah, Jamie's here.
GIT when it was still BIT and G.
Right. And another past interviewee and good friend of mine, Bob Bowman's here.
Oh, Bob. Is he still living in Montana?
Yeah, he's there.
Oh, hi, Bob.
Yeah, Bob says, sounds great. Sorry my dog Lenny nipped you at the place that Putter owned.
Oh, I don't even remember that, Bob. I'm a dog lover. In fact,
He remembers.
Janet and I are coming to Montana. She's getting a soft-coated Wheaton Terrier in Helena, Montana. And so it made me think of you, and we're going to go see the Yellowstone. We're going to make a vacation, see Yellowstone.
You'll be not far from
We're going to fly, and then we'll pick up the dog 3 or 4 days
I think
later.
they're in West Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bob's going to come out and play at Sam First by LAX, our good jazz club.
Yeah.
August 2nd and 3rd.
Oh,
nice.
man.
Yeah, he's going to. It's Bob Shepard, Larry Kuntz, me, Bowman, and Billy Ward, the drummer.
Oh,
I don't know.
snap.
He's coming.
Oh.
Because they're old friends.
How
I
neat.
know them, but I've never played with
That's
them.
left field.
Good band.
Billy Ward, man.
Little
That,
plug for our gig, Bowman.
there you go.
Whose show is this anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
What a band.
Billy
Oh,
Ward
Bob,
is
that's
like
great.
a freak of nature on drums, man.
Yeah.
That guy's
He told me, and
ridiculous.
I'm like, wow, okay, cool. That's great.
I know
that.
I'll be there. I know that I'm playing August 1st, but the 2nd and 3rd I don't have anything lined up. So.
And then hey Taylor. Taylor's a wonderful guitar player. He's been going to North Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Just a wonderful cat. Beautiful human being.
Always
asks great questions. So he's got some questions for you.
Okay.
He says, out of all the recordings you were a part of, which one was the most fun to record, and which one was the most challenging to finish?
Oh, wow.
Oh man, that's gonna be a tough question. Dredge your
that's
discography.
A Taylor question
that's
right there.
Very Taylor question, in-depth question.
Yeah. Gee, I don't even know if I could answer that.
Most fun to record. How about just one of those? Most fun to record.
Oh, I don't know. They were all fun. I mean,
right. Well, maybe think about that.
Yeah.
Here's another one that's a little bit more concrete. When it came to practicing, what kinds of things did you always go back to for inspiration or technical fluency?
Okay. Carl Schroeder taught me more about music than anybody in my whole career with jazz playing.
Yeah.
And I've told this story a lot, and I tell it to all my students. When Sarah would feature us on a blues, and that was the only time I would solo with her, and it was kind of up to not outrageous, but on the bright side.
Yeah.
And I would play this stuff, and so Carl, who I just love, and he's from New York, and he's a New Yorker. Mm-hmm. And so after work one night, we were having a beer or something, and I said, Schroeder, I said, the stuff I'm playing on the blues is just driving me up the wall. It's just. He says, yeah, me too. It's just a bunch of finger crap. And so I kind of gulped, and I thought, well, Carl's absolutely right, because so much with guitar and bass, we learn these patterns,
right.
And you just sort of, and your fingers lead your head around.
Right.
And so then my next question to Carl was, well, can you help me with this? And then he says, of course I can help you with this. So he had me start playing the 5 basic chords: major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, flat 5, diminished 7, and I started in C, and I would play the C on the A string, then any notes that you have on the instrument below, you go down to those. So then I would go C, E, G, B, E, G, and then play all the inversions and start and he would make me go from the bottom of the bass all the way up into the thumb positions.
Oh, wow.
And every chord, and then we went through all the keys. Then I started doing them in triplets, which is all different fingerings on the bass. And so I learned how to shift smoothly, and there's sort of this unknown part on guitar and bass for most of us. We play across the low part and then go up the high string, but nobody knows this between the octave, that area, and there on the bass. It's like the Mojave Desert. We don't go out there. So it really got me playing all of that stuff.
Wow.
And I did it all my career, that exercise. And he had me start a lick book, and I could write in, like 251s, 162, different, and I would put them in categories, and even in scale sounds, whole tone licks and blues licks, and if it was a Paul Chambers, so with the 2/5 lick, Carl would say I could write as many as I wanted in the book, but I could only play one. And then when he would play All the Things You Are. And every time the 2-5-1, I had to play the note for note lick, and it was very mechanical, and you know, I'd even go 3-4, you know, and play the lick, and in all the different keys in that song. And then one day, I don't even know if I was playing with Carl, but I didn't even think of the lick, and I played it. And it was one of those moments like where you look, you know, who did that? And that's what Carl was teaching me. You have to learn one thing really well and then start moving. And that lick, and then those things that were licks that started out as licks then became later thematic material.
Right.
And so this one particular lick that I started with started on the 9th of the 2 chord, and then it went to the flat 13, like an altered sound, on the dominant, and then to the 9th of the 1 chord.
Nice.
So later that whole lick that I played, with all the notes, 8 notes and stuff, just became those 3 notes. You know, and so he just taught me all kinds of great stuff.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now you also had some, obviously some time in the classical world. And
Yes.
So Bert Turetsky, did you?
I
study
studied
with him?
only with classical bass teachers. My first one
Tell
was
us a little bit about that.
Jim Hewitt's dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah,
Fritz
fun.
Hewitt, Frederick
Oh.
Hewitt, who had played 25, 30 years in the Minneapolis
I didn't
Symphony.
know that. Oh, wow.
And he came and semi-retired in San Diego and played in the orchestra there, and lived in Point Loma, not far from where I was
Right.
living, where I grew up. And he had a little Sabbath sailboat, and so when I bought this bass, I'd only been playing bass 1 year, and I came across this instrument that I played my whole career. And my dad had to co-sign for me at the Musicians Union to get a loan. I was 20, and it was my second year of playing the bass. And so he called Fritz and said, can we come? And he looked at the bass and hung lights and played it and said, this is a really good instrument. And so my first lessons I took were with Frederick Hewitt. But I was I was working in a cabinet shop. I was the grunt guy, sanding furniture all day by hand. They didn't want machines sanding. And so I went to Mr. Hewitt and I said, you know, I was trying to barter. I said, can I come and do your yard work and get some lessons with you? I was living in Mission Beach in a little studio. And he said, well, you'd be depriving me of some of my joy. He said, but please, Bob, come and take some. So I had about 6 or 7. He was my first teacher. And he got me playing with the bow and gave me the basic fundamentals of playing. And then after I had joined Sarah, I got kind of to a point where it was like my nose was against the wall, and I wasn't going to go any further with whatever natural stuff I had. And so I began studying again. I think I took some more with him, and we played in the San Diego Symphony together on the stand. And I have some great stories about that, but that's, and then I studied with Bert Turetsky, he lived in Del Mar. Then when I moved to LA, I studied with Barry Lieberman from the LA Philharmonic, and and John Hurd and Harvey Newmark and a bunch of guys were studying with a classical teacher here from Israel named Ami Porat. And they all told me about Ami, and so I called Ami and began studying with him. And I got great stuff from everybody, but I got the most from him. And I had been playing the German bow and Ami was a French bow player, and he was so clear about what everything did. I switched to the French bow with Ami. I probably studied a year and a half, 2 years with Ami here, and got a whole bunch of great stuff from him. And then in San Diego, Peter Rofe, who used to play principal in San Diego, played in the LA Phil, and I took some lessons with Peter. And then when I moved years later, Jeremy Kurtz Harris came to San Diego, and he won the principal job in the San Diego Symphony. And so I took a couple with him. This is kind of an old man now, but with Jeremy too. So it was all classical teachers that I studied with, and I played. They made me play with the bow for intonation, and you know, so and because of my French horn background, it made sense to me to go that way. So, you know, I should have gone to. I loved Ray Brown, but I was always so intimidated. He was so nice to me, but I should have gone over and had some lessons with him, you know. And there were guys like that, but I was just sort of like, oh man, Ray Brown.
I mean, I don't blame you for
Yeah.
that.
I know.
Yeah.
I would be intimidated too.
Who were some of the first people that you played with when you moved to LA?
Well, when I joined, Boby Shew started. Well, let's see. No, the first band I got in was Chuck Flores.
Oh yeah,
I got to play with him a little bit too later in his
Sweetheart,
life. What a sweetheart, right?
Let's see. Bob Hardaway.
Oh yeah.
And Boby Shew
Uh-huh.
was playing trumpet, and I'm forgetting the pianist.
There's this record of Chuck Flores that you're on.
It's called Drum Flower or Flower
exactly.
Drum. Or,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have brought it with me.
Oh yeah.
So that was great. Chuck, to work with Chuck, he was the first. And then Boby Shew, of course, and Chuck Finley I knew from, because I had met them in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And they got me on, they told Don Menza about me, and that's how I got on Buddy's band. So, and then Art Pepper had been on Buddy's band. So when I moved up here, Art had told me when I was with Buddy if I ever came up to, so he started using me a lot. I started playing with Art, and then, so I had a few connections. I kept the gig with Sarah for a year so that I could meet people. But it was the LA thing, you know. I had gotten off the gig with Sarah and and people would say, "When are you leaving Sarah Vaughan? You know, when are you getting off the road?"
Yeah.
You know, well, I've been off the road for 6 months. And then I started working with Dave Pike, with Ronnie Este, and Tom Rainier, and
Tom's been a guest.
Luther Hughes
Luther
would get me. Yeah, I love Luther.
I played with him a lot.
Yeah, those guys. And Boby Shew had a quintet with Gordy Brisker and Bill Mays was playing piano.
Oh, nice.
Bill and me and Dick Burke.
Oh,
Dick Burke.
It was in the beginning, and then I think McCurdy did that some, and Jeff Hamilton, Jeff did it some, and so I started. And when I was off between Sarah, I would go to the Union and make big band rehearsals and just meet as many guys. And when I thought I had enough, because my goal was to come up here. I'm a homebody kind of guy, and we had kids, and so my goal was to play as much creative music as I could, but not be on a thing where I had to do everything they did, like Buddy and Sarah.
Right.
You know, so I would go on a tour to Japan with Art Pepper, and Benny Golson started using me in his quartet. You know, and so just all these wonderful things happened through that. You know.
Well, you're a wonderful player,
Yeah.
great guy. So we're not surprised, but so cool. Thanks. Wow. Thanks for sharing all that. Bob Bowman responded to your No Man's Land Mojave on the bass. He said, "I call that area on G string No Man's."
Yeah. That's it, Bob.
Yeah.
Should we play
Let's
something?
play some more music.
Yeah.
Sure.
What
I
do
see
you
your
want to
question,
do? You
Taylor,
want to
but
do
get
you
back
want to
to
go to this?
Sure.
Let's do the Roger Calloway thing. So
Introduce this maybe for us.
Yeah,
this recording, if you would, Bob.
So this is a recording that never got released, but it was Roger Calloway had a trio with me and Johnny Guerin, which I loved playing in. Both great players, and it was a wonderful experience. And I was a big fan of Roger's from his cello quartet with Chuck DeMonico and
Roger's a genius.
And so we did this at the piano store. It's a Fazzoli.
Fazioli. Pierre's Pianos is what it's called now, but he's a Fazioli dealer.
I think it had a different name
Maybe
in
a
that
different
time.
name, yeah.
Fazioli piano.
West LA.
Yeah, beautiful piano.
Yeah.
And it was Roger's kind of tribute to Miles Davis. So we did some of those tunes, and we did some originals by Roger. And this is Nefertiti that
It's track 7.
he had me play the melody on the bass.
Nice.
So it was fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
What year is this from? 97, did you say?
Yes, 97.
1997.
Yeah.
And it's John Guerin,
Roger
and
Calloway,
Roger Calloway, and Bob. Just
the
trio.
trio.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, if you're just joining, we're just going to listen to an unreleased record. I hope you enjoy it with our special guest, Bob Magnusson. And here we go with Nefertiti. was
That's
incredible.
really cool.
Oh yeah.
Thank you
John,
so
John
much.
sounds
Oh,
ridiculous
doesn't
on
he
this.
sound beautiful?
Oof.
Yeah, this album needs to come out.
Yeah.
This is like a treasure that you brought it over. It's like, thank you so much for
Oh.
sharing it with us.
I always loved it. I don't know why it never made it. You know.
Who knows? Well, the
really-
two names I feel like that come across our show that we've done now so consistently are John Guerin and Jack Sheldon.
Uh-huh.
Just so many, and Buddy Rich probably. 'Cause so
Yep.
many people just in LA connected
With them.
those guys
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
some fashion. John was just, he played with so many people.
Oh,
Yeah, he was
boy.
everywhere.
He was
That guy.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny because the usually the way how I can recognize a drummer is by their cymbal sound.
Yes.
But I was talking with Mark Ferber a little
Oh,
while
yeah.
ago, who's also a great
Ferbs.
drummer. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ferbs, and we were listening to Gate of Dreams, the Klaus
Klaus
Ogerman,
Ogerman.
and within like
John Guerin.
he hears one hi-hat beat and he goes John Guerin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a real identifiable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just loved him, and then we had the San Diego connection. You know, he grew up in San Diego.
Yeah, I've never heard an actual recording from Guerin from this period.
Yeah.
Late 90s.
Yeah, late
Yeah.
90s. It's incredible actually to hear that.
Yeah.
And he sounds like just, you know, an older version of himself, but then, you know, the same stuff that he played with Mike Wofford with
Yes.
the trio,
Yeah.
you know, but it became even more fluid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It
love
was
it.
a joy, and he and Roger were just
Yeah.
really fun for me.
Was there besides you playing Arco on this, was there any type of like sort of like a roadmap that you guys discussed playing this tune, or was it just, hey, you just play the melody and we'll go?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Roger just rarely did he give instructions to, you know, anything. If he wanted something, he would write out, you know, for me to play. But you know, having his love of the cello,
Yeah.
and Roger was a bass player. I don't know if you knew that
Yes.
originally.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
in Boston, and so
Talented.
he was he liked Arco bass playing, and so here and there he'd had me do some. So that was his idea to have me play the melody.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Are John Guerin and then obviously Jimmy Cobb, are those some of your most favorite drummers that you've played with?
Oh yeah, and McCurdy and,
McCurdy, yeah.
and Joey Barron. I just loved playing with him.
He's amazing.
And of course, Jim Plank and I
Yeah.
are play a lot. And there's a very good drummer in San Diego named Duncan Moore.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we know Duncan.
Played with
Love
Duncan and I don't, you know, who else? Carl Burnett and I played. We, you know, all had good. You know how certain people you play with, and it's kind of it's where you feel the time, and
Right.
it just sort of happens. And
Mm-hmm.
that, other guys too. I'm just not thinking of all the people.
How
Oh,
does-
Hamilton, I loved.
Ah,
him.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, and Peter Erskine.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I played with Peter,
Absolutely.
I did a couple records with Peter.
Right. That's the Accidental Tourists record.
Yeah, there's one with Marcus,
Bird. Yeah, I was
and
listening to that. Great record.
there's an early one with Peter Sprague
Oh.
and Kujala playing
Oh yeah.
that we did.
Nice.
We did it at Chick's studio when he had
Wow.
Mad Hatter,
Mm-hmm.
and Peter played on that.
Wow.
Who I love, you know.
Oh, we both love. He studied with Peter.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I
read
played
that.
with him on and off through the years.
Yeah.
He's like a mentor to me.
Oh man.
As is Jeff Hamilton, John Clayton. Those
Yeah.
are some people that helped me in jazz when I was getting started. Encouraged me.
Yeah.
John Guerin.
Yeah. And all great guys.
And
I
just
mean,
Yeah.
great people.
isn't
Yeah.
it amazing how these people that
Yeah.
are such great musicians and they're lovely people? You know, it's a blessing for all of us.
It
Yeah.
really is.
To
Yeah.
have people like that.
So how do you feel that? Because there was something interesting that you said just now, like, you know, the time that you have to make that together because you feel it one way,
Yes.
and then the drummer feels it. You know, it was when you said about Carl Burnett, you know, that it just comes together like that.
Yes.
Like, what is that? What is that for you when you've played with so many drummers and you have your own like? Do you adjust to like?
I
Or is
feel like it's my job. If a drummer plays forward or back, but it's even, then I should be able to adjust to that or make it work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time we were on a tour with, let's see, with Sinatra and Ellington's band. No, Basie's band.
Okay, well,
It was
still.
Basie and Sarah. That was a package deal. We were at the London Palladium, and Irv Kotler was playing, who's a wonderful drummer, but plays real. And Jimmy and I were standing in the wings, Jimmy Cobb, and he leans over and he says, "If it gets any further back, it's going to stop." But it felt so good. I mean, the way Irv Kotler would do it. I mean, but I'll never forget that.
So was that then that you played with Basie and Sarah too?
It would be our rhythm section with their band.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
we did another tour like that with the Duke Ellington band. So I was, I got to actually see these guys.
Yeah.
Duke and Basie, and that was Billy Eckstein's group.
Oh yeah.
Sarah and Duke Ellington. We went to Hawaii and up and down the West Coast with that. So I would hear, watch all these. I'm just watching the guy. Here's all these guys. Harry Carney.
Oh my
God.
On and on.
Oh, so that was like late '60s, perhaps.
This would have been I was with Sarah.
Oh,
71.
70s,
seven. I think that was the first time I was with her. I played 71, 72. Then I rejoined, and she had us move to LA in 75 and 76. So those were my two stints. And Jimmy was there the whole time. A bunch of different pianists. John Hammer when I joined. Then Jimmy Rolls played for a little fill-in.
That must have been killing.
Oh, I learned a ton.
Jimmy is just insane.
Yeah, and what a sweetheart. And then Bill Mace came on for a little while, but he was doing real well in the studios and wanted to, so he didn't stay real long. And then Schroeder came from the Roy Haynes band. Wow. And Carl stayed 7, 8, 9 years with her, and Jimmy Cobb did too.
Incredible.
So what made you leave that gig from Sarah?
I'm just a home.
Oh, a homebody,
and when we moved here in 75, we had 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and then when we got here, we found out Janet was pregnant with Emily, our next, named after the Johnny Mandel too. And then we had a third girl, Thea, after we had moved to Pasadena. So we ended up with four kids. And I'm, like, some guys love being on the road, I love the music, but what is it, 2 hours a night? And the rest of the time,
travel. Yeah,
it's hard.
Sure.
And so I would get really homesick for them, and so those were the reasons. Jillian was the first time I left Sarah. Janet was going to have Jillian, so I got off the road and went back to San Diego. I played in the Symphony of Winter Season, and it wasn't a year-round orchestra in those years. It is now. It's a wonderful orchestra now.
Yeah.
Sure is.
So I played 2 times with them. I played Winter Seasons with the orchestra there. So.
Were you playing in the San Diego Symphony when I was my last gig with Natalie Cole right before 3 months before she died, 2015?
No.
Okay.
I played way back.
Way earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 68 or 7, right before I moved to Las Vegas, I played, got in the symphony, and then and then when I left Sarah and came back, which was about 72, I played a Winter Season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many years ago, yeah.
But I could make better money gigging,
Well, sure.
So I didn't stick.
I remember when I first heard your name mentioned, because I wasn't as deep into jazz yet. I mean, I was getting into it, but I was playing with Ben Campbell.
Ben Campbell.
And his folks were in the symphony.
Yes.
And Ben was like, "Oh, you got to meet Bob Magnusson. He was studying with you, I
Yes.
think, right?
Yeah, I had
Great
him.
bass player, moved to New York.
Yeah.
Kind of got out of jazz.
I had that record with you guys.
Early record.
Was that your first
That's my
record?
very first record.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hear that.
I have it at home.
It's 20 years old.
Yeah, I want to hear Baby Josh Nelson.
Yeah, that was fun. Sarah Gazar's on it, and Matt Slocum, a good young drummer from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Who went to USC and studied with Peter Erskine and all those guys.
Yeah.
Those were great years. I was just discovering music, and I was meeting, all the San Diego people I was starting to meet. I think I probably met Peter Sprague around the same time.
Yes.
Gunnar Biggs.
Yep, Gunnar.
Yeah. Is Gunnar still around?
Yeah, he's around and
Cool.
playing. Yeah.
God, I haven't seen. He's a great bass player too.
Yeah.
With Peter. Anyway.
Bowman is saying a few things.
Oh,
Bob Bowman's. He's getting rest. The natives are restless here. He says, "Remember that cruise on the QE2 in the rough seas on the North Atlantic?"
Yes.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Is there a story there?
Yeah, I was with that was I played a lot with Bud Shank, quartets, and then he formed a sextet with Conti, Condoli, and
Perkins.
Perkins.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Bill Perkins.
Yeah.
And then it was La Barbara and me and Mays.
Oh,
and
damn.
Bob was on that tour, and the sea got really rough out there. And I would usually get seasick. I have once before, but I did really good on that. We took. Anyways, I can't think of it. It's like a fruit thing. Anyways, I went. I'm a surfer. I grew up surfing as a kid, and so I went up, and Janet it was the one day she didn't feel real good, and through the purser I got her some Dramamine to take, and but I went up and watched the ocean, and I mean I couldn't judge the size of the waves because there's nothing to judge it by, but it was gigantic. Waves. They had to be 60 feet or something, But the boat has to, it was the modern QE, and it lasted like a day and a half or something on the cruise.
Yikes!
That's a long day.
Still though.
Yeah. But it was the roughest seas I was ever in on a ship. But
as long as it wasn't a Poseidon adventure, so we don't want that.
And Bowman was on
that.
that.
Be a morning after.
I think he was working with the good singer Danny Embry, and he. Karn Nelson. They were on the cruise.
Long time with her.
That's right. Yeah.
Danny.
Oh yeah.
And maybe Todd.
Yeah.
On drums, Todd Straight.
It was.
Yeah.
That was the trio.
Yeah.
Great guys.
Ooh, what a good band, both you guys. Wow, it was great.
Did you record with Bud and with those guys?
Yes, I made I think 2 records, 2 or 3 with the quintet, and I made quite a few with quartets. In fact, the first one was with Steve Schaefer and Bill Mays and me and Bud.
Oh, I'm going to search for that.
That's a Concord one.
Okay.
And then all the later, Wofford did quite a few of them. We did La Barbara, me, Wofford, and Bud. One's called for Bill Evans, and the other one was Jerry Mulligan too.
Killing.
And it was the same band on those,
Great.
And then there's some other records with Sherman Ferguson. And
I
We
remember Sherman.
did, Sherman I love playing with.
Yeah,
because all those guys like that you mentioned, Conti and Bill Perkins and Bud Shank and Shorty Rogers, that's all like West Coast royalty.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, being in Mike Barone's band where I met John Guerin, Perk was in that.
Yep.
And Ernie Watts, and all Charlie Marillas, and all the Bill Booth, and all those great session players.
Yeah.
Carl Saunders.
Carl,
I was 22.
Carl was in Las Vegas when I was there too.
Right.
And he was a great golfer. He would win the Musicians Union golf tournament. I never got into golf.
If it wasn't this, he was on the golf course. I got to play on his last album with La Barbara and Berghofer.
Oh,
he was so generous to offer me the piano chair and that, because I know Christian Jacob was his favorite. And Christian's amazing.
Yeah.
But Carl said, "I think you're ready, kid. You got a good sound. You got good ideas." And don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Of course, I was nervous as shit.
Yeah.
You know, because it's Berghofer and LaBarbera and Saunders.
Yeah.
So I'm like shaking in my boots.
Yeah.
We got through it.
I bet you sounded great.
Oh man, no, I was nervous. You know,
I did.
LaBarbera made me feel so comfortable.
Yeah,
And
that's what Joe does.
Joe is the best.
Yeah. That's another drummer I just love.
Oh, I
playing
know.
with. In fact, when I was with Buddy, because Pat LaBarbera was
Pat.
playing on the band, Joe came and subbed as a teenager.
Yeah.
Buddy got sick.
Yeah.
And so we played together. That's where we first met in 68 or
Wow.
69.
Yeah.
So-
He's told me about that.
They came to
that's
San Diego
cool.
not too long ago with Pat and he with the Levin brothers.
Yeah, the Levin brothers.
They came through and played here at the
Yeah.
Baked Potato.
At the Baked Potato.
They played.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went and heard them, and
Nice.
and I hadn't seen Pat. You know, I'd been to Toronto a few times and saw him, and so it was great to see Pat and get to visit a little bit.
Joe is the thing that, or he's the guy who comes closest to, like, for me, how Shelley used to play. You know, because he's such a Shelley freak, and I'm a Shelley freak. You know,
Yeah.
and Jeff Hamilton is a Shelley freak
That's
too.
yeah. Those two guys. Yeah, I got to work a little with Shelley and a lot with Joe. Two more drummers that I just love. Yeah, yeah.
Well, we have some more comments. We have lots more music. But
Yep.
we go in an hour 20. But so you tell us when you're done.
Okay.
And you're going to meet Carl
we
Schroeder
we should play the Joe Farrell.
There's some Joe. Yeah, we got to get into that.
Yeah. That's number
yeah, I'd
3.
love to play
Oh,
that.
Trist Curlis. is here, you
Which
know?
one do you want to play first? The Hank Jones one or the Joe
Yeah,
Farrell? Okay,
we'll do the
let's
Joe
go
Farrell last.
Hank Jones.
Trist Curlis was fortunate to meet Bob once many years ago in Powell, Wyoming. As
Oh.
a vocalist myself, my inquiry would be related to Bob's work on recordings with the Singers Unlimited and Mark Murphy, especially the duet of Tangerine.
Oh yeah.
Loving this session.
Yeah.
Thanks, Trist. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, those were fun projects.
Yeah.
And to get to work with the Singers Unlimited was a wonderful treat for me.
Yeah.
Was Shafe on that too?
No,
at the
it
time?
was Bonnie Herman's husband from Chicago. He's a drummer. I'm not forgetting his name.
Okay.
And the good writer that lives here that from Chicago, he did the charts.
Oh.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I'm not,
We'll think of him.
senior moment. Great
Well,
writer.
You have a lot of names in your head.
Pat
Yeah.
Williams? Are you thinking of Pat?
No.
Mm.
Oh god.
Bob Florence.
No,
No.
wasn't. He was a pianist from Chicago.
Pianist from Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of narrows it down.
Yeah.
And
We'll
what's
think
the
of it.
album? And there was a tune where it was something about like the bass, like a pun on the bass, and Bonnie Herman and I played these lines together. It was really fun.
Oh, cool.
He had written the chart.
Well, maybe
okay.
someone will chime in.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
Trist
he's a
knows.
wonderful writer and a great guy.
Thanks for joining us, Trist. Trist guessed Calloway. No, you would have remembered if it was
Roger
Roger
Calloway?
No.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll do some research.
Yeah.
We're gonna move back to some.
We can look it up.
Some recordings here. What are we gonna listen to?
Hank Jones.
He wants to do the Hank Jones recording
The great Hank Jones
with Jim Plank.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
That's the one, yeah.
Yep. Which
And it's track
7
Interface.
That's a Hank
Hank's
original,
tune, yeah.
right? Yeah. Wow, this is pretty cool.
These were like, for Plank and I, we still talk about these special moments working with Hank and Kenny Barron. We had some really wonderful, there was a jazz club going 5-6 nights a week down there, and all these great players came through and played. Art Farmer and Jim and I, and Wofford did a lot of it, and Randy Porter.
Oh, lovely.
You know Randy?
Yeah.
Brilliant pianist.
Another guy I love.
Another great guy. Those are the cool gigs, right? I played this gig when I was just getting going, early 2000s, with drummer Lorca Hart.
Oh yeah.
Billy Hart's son.
Yes.
Lorca's one of my best friends.
Oh.
I
did. The last record I ever did was with him.
Oh.
Up in
Bay Area.
Up in where the wine country, Hillsburg.
Hillsburg.
Oh.
Yeah, Lorca's up there a lot, teaching and playing.
Oh, it's a real nice guitar player that went to MI and later taught there, and I'm having a senior moment.
Calvin Keys? No.
No, he's from Germany.
Oh.
And Randy played on it.
Oh.
And the saxophone player from Oregon,
Oh. I'm not. Yeah.
he played.
We'll have to look up this record too.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll ask Lorca.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lorca had a steady at the old Bellage Hotel on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh.
Where Club Brasserie used to be.
Yes.
Remember that place?
Yeah.
Every Monday night.
I think
And-
that's where we played with Roger with the trio.
Probably. It was a jazz club for
Yeah.
years. And every Monday we'd do a house set and then it was a jam session. But I got to meet Sherman Ferguson.
Yeah.
And Grady Tate came in one night. I met Billy Childs came and played
Oh.
and hung out.
Yeah.
It was one of those gigs.
Yeah.
Like you were just saying, people just came. Ralph Moore.
Oh,
Herman Riley.
Oh, yeah.
They would just come through. And I got to play with them.
Yeah.
It was education.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I'll never
Christian, that's the guitar.
forget. Oh, yeah.
I'll think of it. Anyways,
Okay.
and with Lorca, I loved
I
playing
love
with him.
Lorca.
What a sweet guy.
Right? Yeah, he's the best. Okay, so this is Hank Jones
Jim Plank.
and Jim Plank and Bob Magnusson, our special guest. Here we go. Wow, that was some masterful playing from everyone involved.
Yeah.
You had a fantastic solo.
Oh, thanks.
This was live. Is this the one live at the Neurosciences?
No, we were at Hilario's. This was the
Hilario's.
jazz club that went on, and it was in La Jolla.
La Jolla. Well,
So
La Jolla,
up at
California.
and
So
it-
all these greats came through,
Yeah.
including you guys. I mean, you were there to play with them.
So
I mean, that's
me and
amazing.
Wofford and Plank did most of it. You know. So,
It's incredible to hear with Hank Jones, like his time, like how strong it is.
Yes.
That you guys are just, you know, like kind of like he's so much the center, and you guys just, you know, follow and give him what he wants.
It was
but
a joy.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super swinging, and that's a big boy tempo right
Big
there.
boy tempo.
Yeah,
Kind of in the cracks a
yeah,
little bit.
that's
Yeah,
right.
right.
That's right.
Oh man, what a treat that you're sharing all these.
Oh, it's
Some that you can some of these recordings you can find on, you know, Apple Music or Spotify, but many of the ones Bob brought today are unfortunately not available, so you'll have to just rewatch the show and listen listen to them.
Yeah.
So he brought some real gems that are just not been released.
Yeah.
So it's pretty special when you get something like this today. We're
Yeah.
really enjoying our time with Bob. Let's check in with some folks. Trist has another guest of that Chicago arranger for the Singers Unlimited, Les Hooper.
that's it.
Oh,
Les
you nailed
Hooper.
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
nailed
great.
it, Trist.
The great Les.
Les
yeah.
Hooper.
Yeah.
Wonderful writer.
Yeah.
Great
there you
guy.
go.
So-
And Frederick from France says, so swinging
Yeah.
for that track.
Oh, yeah.
Patrick Escalante, the trombonist, I think, is here. You know him?
No, I don't.
Oh,
think
he's
so.
great musician. He
Nice.
says, Mags, one of the best.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you got a lot of fans here. And hi, Holly Hoffman's here.
Yeah, I love you, Holly
Yeah,
and Mike.
Holly was a guest once.
Yeah.
Yeah, love Holly and Wofford.
So, do you still teach, or are you just completely retired?
I retired last summer
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
from all the schools. I have a couple people that come to the house. I haven't been able to play the bass in about 7 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I kept teaching at San Diego State and Point Loma Nazarene. I was there, but during COVID there was hardly any students.
Right.
And when COVID started, I left. I finished the semester. I was at Mesa Community College.
Oh yeah.
And these were all private students. The only class I had was at Mesa.
Mm-hmm.
I had an ensemble class,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd write, you know, charts, and the sixth chord would be minor, and I would play in key centers, you know, so they could play all, and then maybe move key on the bridge or something.
Right.
It was basic but fun. But once COVID started, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I bailed. But I kept doing state, and I don't know if I had anybody at Point Loma.
Mm.
So if you would like for musicians who are now coming up, because you know, like somebody like Taylor, you know, somebody like that is in college right now, and you know, like I'm still, you know, consider myself very much learning and all that stuff. So
Me too.
yeah, I mean, and that goes for Josh too, I guess,
Yeah.
because we're all eternal students.
Absolutely.
But you know, you have so much experience with playing with different musicians and different personalities and different styles and all that kind of stuff. So, is there anything like that anything like particularly that you've learned that you think that might be a pivotal like learning point in your career that you want to share that might be of use of value to, you know, anybody who's
I felt so, you know, I didn't have any papers, you know, I have no papers at all. So
well, that's even probably from somebody
only for the
like
dog
you.
to pee on.
That's
But
nicely
I
done.
got yeah. So I really admire and like jazz education nowadays. I think it's wonderful, and it's turning out amazing people. When I started playing, I think Berkeley was going in Boston, and I think North Texas and Bloomington had
Right.
jazz, and nobody else did. And somehow I was just lucky enough to learn. I call it learn while you earn. You know?
exactly.
And I was in these situations where I was the worst guy, but people would see potential and I would grow. But I think if I focused so much on trying to play good grooves. Buddy made me, and then getting to work with Jimmy Cobb, that I didn't study more into harmony and things that I should have, where you'd get a more rounded thing at a school,
Right.
which is great. But I got a thing that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That was like an education, and so I was slower developing certain aspects of my playing, but
Right.
in some other ways I would never trade it again
Of course.
for how lucky and blessed I was to get to go
Kind
that
of reminds
route.
me of what Chuck Berghofer said, some similar type things about just the experience
Yeah,
and not being a terribly studied musician, unlike
Yeah.
you in some ways, but
Yeah.
that you can never duplicate those experiences
Yeah.
that he had again.
Yes.
And that's the thing when I teach at USC, Kevin's at OSHA down in Orange County.
Yeah.
We both have private students too. I'm old enough to know, like I'm 45, almost 46, to have played with the John Garants
Yes.
and some of the people that are gone now.
yeah,
And I really try and make sure these students know
no,
that it's
Who
not
these
just, first of all, who these people were.
Yeah.
And that we have to keep their legacy going, but also you can't get everything from an institution. You have to go out and be on the bandstand and learn and get your butt kicked a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get yelled at a little bit.
Yeah.
Be the weakest link.
and the older guys would tell me, go back and listen,
Yeah.
where did the music come from?
Right.
Roy McCurdy told me a great story.
Yeah.
We would always work with Benny Golson. Cunliffe usually did it at the bakery, at the jazz bakery.
Sure.
When Benny would, and Roy told me he worked with like one of the real good alto saxophone player from New York, one of the young guys.
Cannonball?
No,
Yeah.
no, this is
Oh, yeah. Oh, so.
this is much later.
much later.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Roy's already done Cannonball and
Sonny Rollins. and-
Sonny Rollins and
Free
the
Play.
Jazz Tat, and,
Yeah.
the credentials. And so he was working for this guy, and after at the bakery, and the guy really liked Roy's playing, and he says, afterwards they're in the dressing room or something, he said something to the effect of, well, you ought to come to New York. He didn't know who Roy
He didn't know who he
McCurdy
was.
was.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm sure Roy was very gracious about that.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh
he's the
yeah.
nicest man
Oh
ever.
yeah, he's a sweetheart. He's writing a book, he told me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
I will buy that first
It's
thing.
about done, and he's getting
Oh my
this
gosh.
published. He said,
That's
but
good. You should
he's
come to
one
New
of the
York.
yeah.
That's funny.
You should come to New York.
He's at USC, and we
Yeah.
see each other on campus.
Yeah.
At the man is.
And didn't you have some lessons?
I
with Roy?
did.
Yeah.
I spent two semesters with him
What I read.
per advice of Hammer.
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, you're at USC now. Go see Roy McCurdy." And I mean, I was lucky that I'm very grateful that he said so, because before I went to USC, I didn't know who Roy was.
Yeah.
So I went to this concert where it was killing, because it was a Ray Brown trio tribute with Larry Fuller and
Oh, yeah.
JC and then Hammer, and John and Jeff were instrumental in getting me out here to LA. So I went to that concert, which was right before school would start. So I didn't even pick my classes just yet.
Yeah.
And I said to Jeff, like, hey, can we do a couple lessons? And he said, yeah, we can, but you first go to Roy. And I was like, okay. So I'd sign my classes, and I could have a private lesson with Peter, but then I would have like some space in my schedule to get a lesson once every other week with Roy.
Yeah.
So I go over to the lesson, and we start playing a little bit, and he goes, yeah, what do you want to learn? And I said, well, I want to work on my time, and I want to do stuff and all that, and didn't realize like his age actually,
Yes.
because he
He
looks
looks so
freaking
young.
great.
He's always looked like that.
Yeah, and then I looked him up, and I was like, Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and I listened to like
Royalty.
as much Roy as I could, and we would just play, and because Roy is a different teacher, he just shows stuff. Like he
Right.
just showed me like bebop vocabulary, like
Yes.
how he plays brushes, you know,
Yes.
how he plays a bossa nova, because
Okay.
it's all from like, you know, you don't get that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like Peter has his thing and Jeff has his thing, but the people that Roy has played with, you know.
Yes.
And then he said like, oh yeah, when I was hanging with Philly, or you know, like I would call up Sam Woodyard. Yeah, just called Lewis Hayes, you know, the other day. And I spoke with Roy at in December at Pro Drum on Vine, because they have a Christmas party. And he goes, yeah, I just called up Sonny. He's doing real well. And I'm like, oh, you just casually call up Sonny Rollins?
Rollins,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's still swings his ass
Yeah,
off.
he was just there and sounded fabulous.
Yeah.
Like he always does.
Incredible musician.
Yeah.
Incredible man.
Yeah.
And he's always been in great
Buffed.
shape.
Well, yeah, you know how he got buffed, right? Because of
He said he
Nat
was
Adley.
chubby when he was young.
Yeah.
Roy told me.
Well, but
which is
Nat,
hard to believe.
I know.
Yeah. But Nat Adderley like tackled him on the road, and then one time, you know, Nat tackled him again, and Roy said like, Nat, that's the very last time that you do that. So he got like buffed, and like a couple months later they went, or 6 months later they went back on the road, and Nat saw Roy, and he was like, I'm going the other way because I'm not trying to pick a fight with this guy anymore.
He stayed like that. He told me a great story. I don't know if you've ever met his daughter, Sydney.
Yeah.
Really pretty girl. And so Roy, this was when she was younger, probably in her early 20s or late teens. And it was like a Sunday morning, and Roy, Sydney's boyfriend had come over and had not met Roy. And so Roy was sleeping in. It was a Sunday morning, and he said he put on his bathrobe and walked through the living room, went to the kitchen and got coffee, and they were sitting there or something, you know. And then he went back into his room, and the guy says to Sydney, "Who's that dude?" He thought it was
That's my dad.
some other. That's my dad.
Yeah.
I
It
love.
was another
Oh, I love that
boyfriend.
story. Yeah, he thought it was.
Yeah.
Who's this good
That's
looking,
too funny.
muscly guy?
Wow.
We should
Yeah,
play,
let's play
We can
that
play the
and-
final,
and
the
knock
final
off.
track. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much good music. I mean,
I could go on and on with you.
Yep.
I'm loving it.
thank you,
And
Bob,
all
for
these
joining us. Man. This is
friends,
so
right.
fun. Yeah, it's
Bob
just great to have
Bowman
everyone
and
here.
Holly.
Yeah, they're all here. And yeah, if you're just joining us, we're kind of getting close to wrapping up with the great Bob Magnusson, bassist and former French horn player, which I didn't know. Incredible stories of on the road and with Sarah Vaughan, and just his wisdom is beautiful. We're just having a ball with you.
Yeah.
So
Me
thank
too.
you. Yeah, this is great.
Pleasure.
So we're gonna play a track from the great tenor saxophonist Joe Farrell's
Yep.
record,
Yep, and that's
Skateboard Park.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. But
Let me find it.
we're
Track
playing track 3, which is
Okay.
called High Wire.
Yeah, the aerials.
Yeah.
High
So
wire.
let's see. It's Joe Farrell.
And it's Lawrence Marable.
Yeah, from Quartet West.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of
Lawrence Marable. Yeah.
one of the fine bop drummers.
Oh, man.
I love Lawrence Marable.
Oh, who's the other drummer I got to play? I did a Art Pepper album with, did he play with Miles a little, from that same era?
Philly Joe.
No.
No, wait. Drummer, you said?
A drummer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, go ahead.
79, late 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll think.
I'll think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you recorded with Art?
It's Art and him, and from Shelly Man's,
Victor Feldman?
Victor?
no,
Or Russ
earlier.
Freeman?
Russ.
Ah,
It's
oh,
Russell and, you know that. Great drummer.
I'll look it up right
It was
now.
a treat to play with.
I'll look it up while
While
we're
we're
listening.
researching.
Okay.
So, High
Right.
Wire?
High Wire,
the track?
yeah, that's
Okay.
the track.
So this is Bob with Chick Corea,
Joe
and
Farrell.
Joe Farrell and Lawrence Marable.
Yeah.
Okay. High Wire.
Oh, you know this guy. Wonderful.
about this record.
What I was saying is that I liked it that you never went into 4.
Oh.
Like it stayed in 2, which is so cool. Like
Yeah.
it never went, but it stayed super.
Yeah.
It was the
super
way the
intricate.
tune felt, though.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The way
It didn't have to go
we
there.
had a little rehearsal, and it just felt like
Right.
it didn't need to go there.
That's cool. But damn, Chick, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, always.
Yeah.
What a sweet guy.
Nice to
I
meet
actually have
Lawrence,
a tape with, Chick loved to play the drums.
Mm-hmm.
And Carl Schroeder and he were good friends. And when Carl was doing that out stuff that I was telling about, Joey, Chick wanted to do it, so we went over to Mad Hatter, and Chick played drums, and Carl and I played. And I haven't listened to it, but Carl made me the little things that you plug in.
USB stick.
Yeah.
Like a little stick.
Really?
So it's on there.
Oh
I have
my
to pull it out
gosh.
and listen to it.
You got to pull it out.
Yeah.
Well,
He was a good drummer, Chick. He
Oh.
could
Yeah.
play the drums.
Yeah.
a great musician.
Yeah, it was fun, and he had a ball, and
That's cool.
yeah. And then when he recorded some Mozart,
Yes.
and
Was that the stuff with Bobby McFerrin?
I don't know where he did it, but
Yeah.
we did some. I came over, and we had a couple of string players, like a small little string quartet or something, and bass. And Schroeder kind of conducted, and Chick was practicing that. It was fun to do.
That's
with him,
cool.
And he played that great.
Yeah, that's cool to hear those inside stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. That's the
Well-
stuff that you don't hear.
This guy has a gig to get to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going out to dinner
And
with
you're
Schroeder.
going to go out to dinner
Yeah,
with Schroeder.
I have a
Wow.
date. A
Cool.
date.
Well, please tell him we said hi.
Yeah.
I've never
I
met
will.
him, and we're new fans of his.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
So I wasn't really aware of him, and that's
Yeah.
my bad. But there's
No,
he's a wonderful player.
Oh, he really is.
Great
Yeah.
musician.
Yeah.
And taught you so much. like
Oh,
you
he sure
sharing
did.
With us.
Yeah.
And Aviva, thanks for being here. So sweet. Nora, thanks. Oh, Nora says it's been a pleasure listening to Bob. Asked earlier about where he would be playing because I would love to see him, but you just answered my question. You're not playing anymore. Do you miss playing? Would you consider playing again?
If my hands were 100%, I would consider playing again.
Uh,
I don't miss playing, surprisingly, because I went through so much anguish as it was getting worse and worse and worse, and I couldn't practice, and I knew that something was going to go wrong, and it did. And so I actually had physical problems. I got health issues from my own anxiety over the whole thing. So, and the fact that I have our 3 daughters, I can walk to their houses, and 8 of our 10 grandkids live right there. And so I have a really full life, and I'm loaning my bass, to all these guys.
Yeah.
David Wong, and when Scott Colley comes out, and so I'm loving going. In fact, tomorrow night,
You said Brian Blade, huh?
Brian Blades
With the Fellowship Band? Is it Doug Weiss?
No,
Or Christopher Thomas?
no,
I don't remember.
yeah, I'm forgetting. I have it.
That's great.
Roland Guerin.
Roland Guerin.
Oh,
Yeah,
Interesting.
he's the bass player.
Oh, wow.
So I've never met him, but
Fantastic.
so they play on my fiddle. And
The music continues on.
have you guys ever heard Trio Corrente?
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
Okay.
You mean with Luciana Souza?
Yes.
And those, and not Duduca,
Edu Ribeiro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, I just heard him recently, and Paolo Paolini played my bass, and the group was
Their
amazing.
latest record just got a Grammy nomination.
Yeah.
They're incredible.
Yeah.
Well, they played here for.
Oh, yeah.
They either played for the bakery or they played somewhere at like a big stage.
I think it was a bakery show.
And I'm so bummed that I missed it.
I missed it.
Oh.
But everybody, like all of the drum royalty was there. Hammer showed up, Peter showed up, Aaron Serfati, and Clarence Penn. They all went to go see Edu, and they said like it was freaking ridiculous.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And they played together 20 years, they told me.
Yeah.
And Fabio is the piano player.
Right.
Great musician.
Just
They're all great.
yeah, it was a marvelous,
Yeah.
memorable night for me.
Nice.
Well,
Well, that's nice that you stay so fulfilled with,
Yeah.
like, bringing your bass out, and then you go see those performances, and that you enjoy it so much. That's
Yes.
that's beautiful. to
And
do
I'm
that.
getting to meet all these wonderful young players.
Yeah.
And some are new to me,
Yeah,
and some
sure.
are not. But they're all at such a high level.
Yeah.
I know that bass is in good hands.
The tradition continues, which you had something to say, and so for so many years with so many great artists, and it has been an absolute joy to get to
It's
speak with you
been
today.
a pleasure and a joy for me.
Really
Yeah.
a pleasure.
I've had a blessed career. I was
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And thanks everyone for being here. We'll put this up on YouTube at some point, of which Bob can share it, and then you can rewatch it if you missed parts of it.
Yep.
Thank you, Frederick from Paris, for you're our farthest flung person watching today. So thank you so much. Thanks everybody, and Kevin. Do you want to say anything?
No, I mean, again, thank you, Bob,
Yeah,
for
Bob.
coming
Yes.
out.
Oh, a treat.
It's always a pleasure to do this with you.
Yeah.
Literally, you're a right-hand man today.
Yeah, hand surgery here, everybody. I'm taking some time off playing, but I'll be back in a week or two. Speaking of,
we have a hit.
we have a gig coming up. We'll
Yeah.
plug at Vibrato,
Yep.
which is in LA, up top of the mountain there at Beverly Glen and Mulholland. Our big band.
Yep.
Kevin has curated an evening of the music of the great Frank Capp
Yeah.
and his Juggernaut band. So we have an incredible lineup of musicians. That's Wednesday, July 3rd,
Yeah.
I believe.
A little pregame for your July 4th.
Yeah, so if you feel like coming out and hearing some great big band music, Wednesday, July 3rd at Vibrato with the West Coast Jazz Hour Big Band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. All right, everybody. Stay well, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.